Hey guys, welcome to another extended Pixel Bite. I'm Andrew with Liminal Space, and we have part 2 of a special Arri presentation for you. Arri recently came to Cleveland for the very first time, and we had the honor of hosting them. Thanks to Shape With Us for filming the event so that we could share it with you. Enjoy.
I'm Michael Best. I'm the product manager at Arri for camera accessories. And thanks guys. Prior to coming from Arri, I was a focus puller for 10 years. In 2007, I joined Arri as customer service and then moved into this role here, which is a nice natural progression for me because I understand the trials and tribulations and challenges there are in the production world, working all night long in the cold, winter, in the rain, everything. And how important that is for our equipment to be reliable and for you to have all the little gadgetry and things you need to make things work. So today we're going to mainly focus on our new Hi-5 intelligent hand unit and new RIA radio interface adapter on top of the Amira and new radios, as well as a few other gadgets and how they interplay with this whole system. So Hi-5, further, stronger, faster. This was kind of our mantra to make things better from our previous predecessor products. And this all comes from people's feedback about our products and, again, how you need to work out in the field in order to achieve the shot. You know, we have so many great cameras out there in different formats, but once you have the camera, now you know it's motion picture. We have to put the camera in motion, whether that's a jib, a crane, Steadicam, a helicopter, underneath, in the ocean, in the water, on tripod, so on, so on. You get the idea. The point is that in order to achieve those shots, you need some extra tools, some accessories that help you to pull focus or control the lens. So we have motor controllers and other hand units to get some feedback from the camera and control it in such a way. So this is a very sophisticated hand unit. This is a successor of the WCU4. WCU4 came out in 2013, so it's almost 9 years old, and it's gone a long way. By the way, I think I ran out of battery, Andrew. Can you get me a couple of batteries for that? Thank you. So let me go through some of the things that we've improved to make this a little bit better. And so there's high performance, versatility, speed, high tech, and reliability. So these are all very important aspects to build upon. And the control knob itself, WCU4 had more of a ratcheting friction disc in there to increase or decrease friction. This is just a little knob. It's more elegant and won't bind up, and sometimes when you're in between the ratchet it gets kind of stuck. So this is a little more elegant and smoother action. So there was an improvement there. And also even just the snap eye hooks where you put the neck strap, or it could just kind of rest on your belly the way they're positioned. There's a NATO rail on top that has 3/8, quarter 20, and so that's all built in on top. And some people undersling it underneath their monitor so they don't have to hold it all the time. It's now touchscreen, so it's a faster way of navigating things. So moving on. Another great aspect, and further, stronger, faster. So further has to do with these antennas. When there's a lot of interference, especially on multi-camera shoots in a studio with other interference happening or other wireless frequencies in play with audio and lighting, it's a crowded space in a visual kind of space. So when you lose communication, time is money on set, and you need to overcome those challenges. So we introduced these new radios to do just that. So the first one is our white radio, which is our standard radio built into our motor controllers and our cameras like this one. And the two new radios they're both frequency hopping. One's on the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum, and the other one's on the 900 megahertz spectrum. So this just shows the white radio and all the cameras and motor controllers it's backwards compatible with, so there's no loss there. The other way to make things faster using this tool is there are pogo pins on top of the wheel with match up to this EEPROM chip, which we have 10 different flavors of pre-marked rings, either imperial or metric, and you pop this on and the Hi-5 will automatically read this ring and match it up with the focus scale on the Hi-5. So that's an example of faster. It's crucial to have your marks and accurate ones. Stronger battery. This battery lasts 15 hours. And the status is in percentage. Normally you have a battery icon, and when you're at halfway, it's like, you know, half the battery is full. But when you're at like the last quarter, you know, are you at 2% or are you at 25%? So that's where the accuracy comes into play, especially, you know, if you have to get the shot. NATO rail. This is where we can attach, when you're doing handheld, you just slide this on here, and this has a 1/4-20 mount on top, has a hinge with ratchets, very strong. And if you're using our stuff with anti-twist pins, you just flip that, it has the two anti-twist pins, or if not, you just flip that back. So normally it's best to pull focus off a 17-inch monitor. Bigger the monitor, more accurate things could be. But if you're doing handheld and you need to move around, you could just pop one onboard monitor on there and go wireless. So here's another example of how we use this monitor mount. 16:9 has that quick release, and it's just underslung underneath the 17-inch monitor. And those are the mounting points. So now we'll go over the connectors. Radio module interface, serial 4-pin, same as the serial 4-pin on the camera. L-bus is this red washer. It's always a 4-pin LEMO. USB-A and USB-C. On top is USB-C. So it's this little piece, and USB-A is the traditional USB. The USB-C on top allows you to plug in any generic computer cable into AC outlet. So you don't need a proprietary cable from Arri. So if you're in a pinch, you go to a Best Buy and pick something up there, maybe one of those power banks. And so if you're out of juice or lose your batteries or someone forgets them, you know, things happen. So there's a workaround. If you flip the cap underneath, this is not a thumb drive. It's a Bluetooth dongle, which works with our app. I'll get into that a little later. This serial port, what is it for? Well, inside this car here, there's a controller for the crane and you can tether this through that controller, and a DP can control zoom if they want to on the fly. So L-Bus is for all these other L-Bus devices, one of which is on the Amira there. It's called OCU1. So it allows you to update all these, the firmware of all these devices, or hardwire them if you need to. And this was that cap underneath. Oh no, that's on top. That's USB-C. Okay. And this is our new app. That's the icon for it. This allows you to be notified of firmware updates for the Hi-5 and other devices, Arri news, other communication, and also allows you to share lens files. So on the app on your phone, you could have your own lens file library with all the manufacturers and or the production you're on, if you have a mixture, however you want to organize it. It gives you plenty of flexibility. And here it also shows like the curve of how you may have mapped the lens or whatever the lens file is. So if one of these dots is kind of out of place, you know, maybe there's a value in there that's not proper. So yeah, and you can also save it to Google Drive or Dropbox or however you wish to save or share, organize the files. And in addition, if you don't own this, but you rent it, you might have user setups that you prefer, so you can save it on there as well and recall it. So another way of just being faster and a little slicker.
Can I ask, so you can save that on your phone and then come in to rent it and just put it onto the Hi-5 unit every time you come in?
Sure, yeah.
Pretty rad. Just saying.
I don't take it for granted. So this is the layout of the screen. It's in our manual, but this is just tells you that the Bluetooth device is underneath, it's engaged, whatever smart ring you're using, what kind of field of view or Cine-RT is using, and maybe the power of the camera. Those are critical pieces of information, as well as what's in green up here is whatever a distance measure is reading out. And we have 4 new optional licenses, camera control licenses, and and some other licenses for some other accessories. So red camera control, Sony Venice, Sony F5 and 55 with the proper cable. Focus bug we have here, get into a little more detail of that. And Cinefade, the variable ND, so it's 2 polarizers together. C-Motion makes it. It's a pretty slick product. There's a nice effect that it produces to change the depth of field and at the same time compensate on the iris for exposure, so you don't change the exposure, but you're just changing the depth of field. There's that. Or practically, if you're shooting a lot of car stuff and changing the angle and so forth, you can ride the polas to control how much reflection or reflection you don't want. So, Andrew, you had a question?
Do you slave that to one of the axis controls? Because you can loop that into L-Bus, so it acts just like another motor. Do you assign it to one of the 3 options on the manual?
You can. The license isn't out yet, so I haven't seen how it behaves quite yet. The Focus Bug, Red, and Sony are out right now, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it works. So, but to your point, the auxiliary. With a firmware update on this C-Force RF motor here, RF because it has an antenna, and so it's a motor and a motor controller built in. There, you have 3 axes: focus, iris, zoom, but now you have an auxiliary access. And that auxiliary access can be used to either put it on here, and there's some bracketry that you can allow the horns to mount to this, take the gear off, and now the horns can tilt, pan. But to answer your question, Cinefade is L-bus. So if you, with the license, you'll be able to plug in there and probably assign that to be the auxiliary.
What would on the controller would be that fourth axis?
You would assign either the knob, slider, or zoom. So again, I haven't seen how it's all going to work, but I see your point. If you're using a zoom already, then how do you get to the auxiliary is what you're asking. So the answer is, I don't know. It's not a good answer, but we'll see. These are all the functions that these licenses control. And it's on our website. It's for you to reference. Just want to make you aware of it. So these licenses, just showing you what it's compatible with, DSMC 2 and 3 cameras with this particular cable, Venice 1, Venice 2, but also Sony F55. With our new remote cable, it's a new Sony cable that goes into their remote port, and the focus bug license for Cine RT. There's a new Arri high-speed protocol for the focus bug. It's more responsive readout. And there's a function on the Hi-5, it's called focus tracking. So I don't know if it's, I have to recalibrate the motors because of the power. But I'll do that now. Once I get that going, I'll show you that function a little later. These are the 3 user buttons on the back of the Hi-5. They can be programmed in many different ways, one of which I wanted to show you after everything looks good. So I'll just transfer this lens file I was using. 1 second, please. Select and use. So focus tracking is when you have a distance measure, it's reading the distance, it's showing up on my screen here. And now if I hold the button down that's set to tracking, the motor should move. Sorry, I just need a little more time with that to set it up properly since the battery changed, but I'll show you that after the presentation then. Sorry, go back to this. So these are the 3 user buttons on the back. There's an imprint on the 3rd one, and the 2 top is 1 and 2. So without looking, you could know and feel it, feel around for it. So if you want to change NDs, you can program it to camera user settings. If you want to turn peaking on and off, you can kind of use that to toggle that, or the false color and things like that. The knob the color of the knob backlight color can be changed in various colors. Where is it? Backlight. It's pretty cool. So we have white, red, blue, yellow, magenta, and cyan. So that's great if you're color coordinating on multiple cameras. Manual T-stop. So if a motor goes down or something and you lose your iris motor, or you're just kind of building up your kit and you're just using focus, you could put a manual T-stop, so on the display you can see depth of field, and it'll calculate that. There's a left-handed mode as well on here for all the lefties. As discussed before, we'll come out with the left-handed pre-marked rings in the right orientation. We should discuss what that orientation should be. Manual calibration is important for with our cameras. We have EF mounts, so when you're using photo lenses with maybe a zip gear around it, that expands the amount of glass you can use. So with those, you don't have the mechanical stops built in for the lens, for the motors to automatically calibrate. You need to be a lot more gentle with that approach. So manual calibration will help you in that way. And then you can export log files, which is important because with all computers and digital gadgets, things could go wrong. So it allows our engineers to see any hiccups that happen along the way. So what we've done here is start building an ecosystem around this Hi-5. And so the next product here is radio interface adapter, for short RIA. That's a Arri acronym. It's always like usually a three-letter acronym. RIA is this little gadget box right here. Just like the Hi-5, it allows you to swap radios. So our white radio, standard. Our orange radio is frequency hopping on 2.4 gigahertz. Long antenna, long range, gray radio. It's great for drones and follow vehicles. And it's very fast and easy to swap radio modules. So if you're in a pinch, you don't have time on set to move from, say, channel to channel on the white radio, you could just switch to frequency hopping. And that technology happens automatically. It just scans through the whole channel of 100 different channels within the 2.4 900 spectrum. And wherever there's free frequency without interference, it sends and transmits the information through there. So, and all these things are very weatherproof and durable and so forth. So let's walk through this. It's a very simple, elegant, small little box, very lightweight. 2 L-bus devices, cam and serial, and then the little jog wheel and USB-C for firmware updates. So L-bus, you always want to daisy chain through the motors. The cam, you want to attach to the camera, because what's happening here is if I put a lens that has lens data in it, when you pop that lens on, the information will travel through this cable, through the antenna, and it's plug and play, and you'll see the lens data on the Hi-5. But if you're using a lens like this, I map the lens, and I'm able to send the lens data to that box, which now uses that lens file. In addition, this cable will provide communication of status from the camera, which is important. See what battery levels on the camera, what frame rate you're using, and so on. Because in the Hi-5, in this page here, I could change frame rates, exposure index, white balance, shutter. I can do playback from here, select my clip, play back, scroll through it, different speeds. So it's important to have the right cables to do those functions. That's the main takeaway. Also, mounting points. We've got 3/8 M4. Here's our little L bracket that we have there. But here are a few other examples of it mounting on a rod with the new RMB7. And our old bracket from the UMC4 works as well. So right now, again, these two are out and actually coming in the country right now. The RIA just started shipping this week. So they're available. Coming soon, maybe in a month to 6 weeks, the 900 radio will be coming out as well. USA and Canada only. So it's important to know the region. I just wanted to talk about the frequencies a little bit. So this is our white radio, 2.4 spectrum, and direct sequence, meaning you have to pair things up with the same channel. But to give you a bit of history, we started with eight channels, 0 through 7, and then we bought out 8 through 13, and we kind of meshed them in between. So even if you're, say, on channel 2 and you think, oh, I'm getting a lot of interference here, let me go farther away to channel 9, frequency-wise, you're not that further away. So this is in the back of one of our manual, or various manuals. So it's a good reference to have on set if you need to. This is on our website as well, a reference I want you to make sure you're aware of, which is a comparison chart between all the radios. And the major thing here is that this orange radio is point-to-point, only one hand unit, one antenna here, and this antenna over there. You can only talk to one hand unit at a time. Whereas in network, I could have 3 of these, up to 3 of these. So, you know, your DIT could just work, use the iris, focus, puller on focus, and maybe DP on zoom. So with like say a pan bar zoom, and you take this off, you can make the pan bar wireless. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, we can hook that up. Excellent. Thank you. Try that out later. So there's this new sticker, RIA, saying that connect to camera via cam only. So before all this with, you know, we have 2 L-bus connectors here and kind of daisy chain any which way you want. There's no rhyme or reason, but now there is. So we just kind of want to bring attention to that. Daisy cabling is very important, and which way you go. So with a QR code, you could scan that, and whatever kind of setup you're using, we provide a map of how to go about that. So a little cheat sheet with different cameras, different setups. So that's all up there. And then here's a picture of a situation where maybe a DIT is using the OC1, which is on that camera, and tethered to iris, and you could see T-stop and tenths of a stop, so it's very accurate, and tethered to the RIA so that they could be wireless and far away from the camera. Again, another diagram with third parties and third-party cameras. And lastly, with supply chain stuff, we had a hiccup with the chips inside here. And since March, we haven't been able to ship any of these rings. It's been kind of tragic because this is a very core piece to the whole system, your pre-marked rings. Because they're backlit, they won't rub off. They're pretty essential. But they'll be starting to ship again by the end of this month. C-Force RF, we just recently had a firmware update to that, which when we have a new camera, these firmware updates are important because then the accessories need an update, so they all kind of communicate. So it provides that auxiliary access we were talking about, license support for the Sony in red, and the manual motor calibration, again, for those EF lenses. So,
Is that free?
yes, free. Licenses are paid. Firmware updates are traditionally free, or I think always free. I don't know.
But the licenses for those other cameras in that firmware update are free or not?
No, the licenses are not free. It's that the firmware supports the license. Yeah. Joe, you had a question?
Yeah, those smart rings, are they, can you retrofit them to any older model, or is it just, it only works on the Hi-5?
The WCU4 rings are compatible with this. The difference is the WCU4 does not have these pogo pins, so these rings will fit to the WCU4, but the WCU4 will not read them. So, always people ask, oh, that's great stuff, but how much does it cost? Which is a great question. So $2,200 for the RIA and the little thingamajig mounting bracket. One radio module is like $1,100, so call it $3,300. And then you have your cables and so forth. So they're usually around $200 a piece, if not a little bit more, depending on how complex the cable is. And then there's motors on top of that. Motors are like $3,000 or $3,600 or so. So with a Hi-5 unit package, with some batteries, a pair of radio modules, and a RIA, just for the frequency hopping, that's $14,000. And then if you add a motor, that's $17,000, and keep on adding another $3,000. And so if you get up to 3 motors, there you are. So $23,000. What a bargain. So, yeah, so hopefully you're as happy as this guy once you own our stuff. That's the whole point. But Andrew, thank you so much for having us out, and thank you for all the people in Cleveland coming out. So we appreciate being out here and kind of sharing our products with you, and so thank you.
Thanks for watching, guys. As always, like and subscribe.